Silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a powerful state that offers us clarity and awareness. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to become overwhelmed by noise, both external and internal. We are constantly bombarded with information, expectations, and pressures that make it difficult to hear ourselves think, let alone listen to the deeper, more subtle messages life sends us. Yet silence holds the key to a deeper connection with ourselves and the world around us. When we choose silence, we create space, not just around us, but within us. This space allows us to become more attuned to what's truly important, and it's in this openness that everything naturally falls into place. When we talk about the power of silence, it's important to understand that silence is not merely about staying quiet in conversation. It's about cultivating a stillness of mind and spirit. When we quiet our thoughts and release the constant noise in our heads, we become receptive to the present moment. In these moments of quiet, we can tap into a deeper awareness that guides us more naturally than any plan or strategy could. The answers we seek, the clarity we long for, are often already present, waiting for us to stop talking, thinking, and overanalyzing. Think about times when you felt overwhelmed or lost in your own mind. The more you try to figure things out, the more confused you become. It's as if the very act of seeking answers is preventing you from seeing them. But when you step back, when you give yourself the gift of silence, whether it's in meditation, a walk in nature, or simply sitting quietly, you often find that the solutions appear more effortlessly. It's as though life has been waiting for you to pause, to open yourself to the flow of what is around you. Silence isn't about avoidance or escape. It's about stillness and acceptance. It's about taking a moment to stop chasing after things, stop forcing the outcome, and simply be present with what is. This is where the magic happens. When we allow ourselves to be silent, we are no longer bogged down by the pressures of doing and achieving. Instead, we are present with the natural unfolding of events, the spontaneous flow of life. And in that space, we begin to see things clearly, without the distortion of fear or desire clouding our perception. The power of silence also lies in its ability to connect us to our intuition. Our inner voice often gets drowned out by the noise of the world. When we are constantly talking, thinking, or planning, it becomes hard to hear that quiet, subtle voice inside that can lead us to the right decision. But in silence, we allow that voice to emerge. It is in these moments of stillness that we become more attuned to what we truly need and want. We no longer feel the need to ask for validation from others or seek external answers. The answers we seek are within us, waiting to be uncovered in the silence we create. What's remarkable about silence is how it helps us step out of the way. We are often so conditioned to take action and make things happen. While action is necessary at times, too much of it can lead to burnout or confusion. Silence, on the other hand, is an active form of letting go. It allows us to release the urge to control every outcome, to push for things to happen on our timeline. Instead, we allow life to unfold naturally, trusting that we are being guided exactly where we need to go. When we are silent, we stop forcing, and that's when things start to come to us effortlessly. In silence, we stop struggling against the current of life and begin to move with it. We no longer feel the need to force things to happen. We trust the timing of our lives and allow ourselves to be led by what feels right, instead of by external pressures or rigid expectations. When we embrace silence, we find that everything we need, whether it's wisdom, opportunities, or connections, comes to us when the time is right. The beauty of silence is that it doesn't require effort. It's not about striving or pushing. It's about surrendering to the flow of life. When we make space for silence, we create an environment where everything can fall into place naturally. The world becomes clearer, our intentions become more focused, and we can move forward with grace rather than force. So when we truly understand the power of silence, we realize that it's not an empty void, it's a space of possibility where everything we need can come to us naturally. By quieting the noise, both around and within us, we open ourselves up to the abundant flow of life, allowing it to unfold in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. And in this space, we find that everything indeed comes to us when we stop trying so hard. Letting go of control is one of the most challenging, yet most liberating actions we can take in life. We live in a society that thrives on achievement, planning, and making sure every step is mapped out. We're taught to set goals, create strategies, and push forward with relentless determination. While these actions can bring success, they can also create a false sense of security, an illusion that by controlling every aspect of our lives, we will reach our desired outcomes. The truth, however, is that control often keeps us locked in a cycle of stress and anxiety, making us feel as if we are never truly in sync with life. But when we let go of control, we allow space for things to happen naturally, without the need for us to micromanage every detail. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up on our dreams or aspirations. It doesn't mean abandoning responsibility or ceasing to take action when necessary. It means releasing the need to constantly steer our lives in a specific direction, and instead trusting that things will unfold as they should. It's a subtle shift from pushing and forcing to allowing and accepting. Control often arises from fear, the fear that if we don't manage every outcome, something will go wrong. But in truth, this fear keeps us stuck in a pattern of overthinking and overcompensating, preventing us from fully embracing the flow of life. When we let go of control, we make room for spontaneity, creativity, and even serendipity. Life is full of surprises, and sometimes the most beautiful moments come when we least expect them. Think about times when you've planned something meticulously, only for it to fall apart at the last moment, only to have something better emerge in its place. It's as if the universe, or life itself, has a better plan for you than you could have imagined. When we release our tight grip on control, we open ourselves up to these moments of unexpected magic, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. One of the most powerful aspects of letting go of control is that it allows us to experience life more fully. When we are fixated on controlling every outcome, we become overly focused on the future, on what will happen next, and on trying to make sure everything turns out the way we think it should. This constant preoccupation with the future prevents us from truly being present in the moment. But when we stop controlling and start allowing, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with trying to predict the future. We become more grounded in the present, appreciating the beauty of each moment as it comes, without the burden of worry or expectation. This process of letting go is also deeply connected to trusting ourselves and the world around us. The more we trust that we have the inner resources to navigate challenges, the less we feel the need to control everything. We begin to realize that we don't need to know every answer, and we don't need to have everything figured out in advance. Life has its own rhythm, and when we stop trying to force our way into it, we find that we are more aligned with the natural flow of things. We begin to trust that even when things don't go as planned, there is a deeper wisdom at play guiding us towards something better. Another key aspect of letting go of control is learning to trust the timing of life. We often become frustrated when things don't happen according to our schedule or when we're not seeing the results we expect in the timeline we've set. But the truth is, everything happens at its own pace. We cannot rush the process of growth, healing, or transformation. When we try to control the timing of events, we risk missing the lessons or experiences that come with the waiting. By letting go of our desire to control time, we allow ourselves to be more patient and more accepting of life's natural rhythms. There's a certain freedom in surrendering control. It's as if, in that moment, we are no longer carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. Instead, we release ourselves from the constant pressure of making things happen and allow ourselves to breathe. The more we let go, the less we feel burdened by our own expectations and the expectations of others. We find peace in the realization that we do not have to force every outcome or manipulate every situation. In this way, letting go of control is a practice of trust, trusting ourselves, trusting others, and trusting the world around us. It's about accepting that we are not always in charge of what happens, but we are always in charge of how we respond. When we embrace this, we find that things often fall into place more effortlessly than we ever could have imagined. The key is to stop clinging to the illusion of control and instead allow ourselves to move with life rather than against it. Letting go of control is not easy, and it's a process that takes time. But the more we practice, the more we realize that the universe or life itself has its own plans for us. By trusting in this natural flow, we allow everything to come to us exactly when it is meant to. And in that surrender, we find a profound sense of peace and fulfillment that cannot be achieved through force or manipulation. Patience is a virtue, but it's one that is often undervalued in today's world. We live in a time where everything is expected to happen quickly, instant results, fast responses, and immediate gratification. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we are surrounded by a constant rush to achieve, to move forward, and to get things done. However, it is in learning to embrace patience that we find the true power of stillness. Patience isn't just about waiting, it's about understanding that life moves at its own pace. And when we allow ourselves to be patient, we align ourselves with that rhythm. In a culture where speed is often equated with success, patience might seem like an outdated or unnecessary trait. We feel pressure to keep up, to be constantly productive, and to get things done as quickly as possible. But in doing so, we often miss the value of taking time. The process of growth, change, and transformation cannot be rushed. Whether it's the development of our personal skills, the cultivation of relationships, or the pursuit of our goals, true progress often comes with time. And the more we try to rush through it, the more we risk undermining the very thing we are working toward. When we learn to practice patience, we give ourselves permission to step back and let things unfold naturally. We cease to push against the current, and instead we allow ourselves to float along with it. This act of letting go is incredibly freeing, because it removes the burden of forcing an outcome. Patience allows us to stop obsessing over the when and the how, and instead focus on the what and the why. In this space, we can be present with the process itself, rather than fixating on a destination. One of the most important aspects of patience is recognizing that timing is everything. Often we believe that we need something to happen now, that the present moment is insufficient, and that we are somehow running out of time. Yet when we step back and look at the bigger picture, we begin to realize that things happen when they are meant to, not when we demand them to. This is a profound lesson in trust, trusting that the right things will come at the right time, without us having to force them. Patience teaches us that the timing of life is far greater than our own limited understanding. This doesn't mean that we should sit idly by and wait for life to happen to us. Patience doesn't require passivity. It requires active engagement in the present moment. It's about doing what we can, while knowing that certain things are simply beyond our control. Patience is not a passive resignation to fate, but a dynamic acceptance of the fact that we can only influence so much. We do our part, and then we trust that everything else will align in its own time. When we resist the urge to rush, we allow ourselves to be guided by the natural flow of things, rather than attempting to force our will upon them. True patience requires us to have faith in ourselves and in the process of life. It's easy to become discouraged when we don't see immediate results or when progress seems slow. But it's in these moments that patience truly tests us. It asks us to continue moving forward with persistence, even when the outcome is not immediately visible. This kind of patience builds resilience because it teaches us to weather the inevitable storms that come with any journey. It reminds us that everything worth having takes time, and that the struggles and challenges we face along the way are part of the process, not obstacles to be avoided. Patience also teaches us the value of reflection and observation. When we stop rushing through life, we become more aware of the subtle shifts and changes that occur over time. We can see the growth that happens gradually, like the way a plant takes root, pushes through the soil, and slowly grows toward the light. There is a natural progression to life, and when we allow ourselves the patience to observe it, we gain a deeper understanding of our own path and the world around us. Moreover, patience brings a sense of peace. It reduces the anxiety that comes from constantly feeling like we have to keep moving or achieving. When we embrace patience, we allow ourselves to be content with where we are in the moment, rather than obsessing over what comes next. This peace is not the result of inaction, but of a profound acceptance that life is unfolding in its own time, and that we are exactly where we need to be. In the end, patience is about trust, not just in the timing of life, but also in ourselves. It teaches us that we do not need to rush or force things to happen. It asks us to stop being so focused on the destination and to enjoy the journey. It's in the quiet moments of waiting that we often find our greatest growth, our deepest insights, and our truest selves. When we learn to embrace patience, we discover that everything we need will come to us naturally, in its own time, and often in ways far more beautiful than we could have ever imagined. In a world that often glorifies action, non-action is a concept that might feel counterintuitive. or even strange. We are conditioned to believe that in order to succeed, we must constantly be doing something, working harder, pushing forward, striving for more. The idea that non-action could be a path to fulfillment or success can seem foreign, but there is a profound wisdom in non-action that, when understood and embraced, can change the way we approach life. Non-action doesn't mean doing nothing. Rather, it means engaging with the world in a way that doesn't involve force, struggle, or excessive effort. It's about stepping back to allow life to unfold naturally, and in doing so, creating space for clarity, peace, and purpose. Non-action isn't about being passive or avoiding responsibility. Instead, it is a conscious choice to act only when necessary and to let go of the compulsion to control every outcome. This kind of non-action is a form of mindfulness. It's about being fully present and allowing events to unfold without interference. There are many moments in life where action is required, but the real power comes when we understand that not every moment needs a response, not every challenge needs an immediate solution, and not every situation needs to be fixed. Non-action is about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply to wait, observe, and allow things to develop on their own. This approach creates an inner peace that is hard to find in a world of constant motion. When we constantly feel the need to act, we often create unnecessary stress and tension in our lives. We force things into place, overthink situations, and become frustrated when things don't go the way we planned. But when we embrace non-action, we step out of that cycle. Instead of reacting impulsively, we give ourselves the gift of time. Time to reflect, time to process, and time to let the universe or the natural flow of life take care of the rest. We learn to trust that everything doesn't need our intervention to succeed. It can work itself out without our constant input. Non-action is also closely tied to patience. As we discussed before, patience is about understanding that life doesn't unfold on our schedule. By practicing non-action, we can allow life's timing to take the lead, knowing that we don't need to rush the process. Sometimes, by doing less, we actually accomplish more. We might feel like we're not making progress because we're not constantly on the move, but in reality, we're creating the conditions for more meaningful progress. By taking a step back, we allow for new perspectives to emerge, for ideas to breathe, and for opportunities to come to us instead of us chasing them down. One of the key aspects of non-action is the ability to recognize when we are pushing too hard. Often, we get caught in the trap of thinking that the harder we work, the more we will achieve. But in reality, forcing things to happen often leads to burnout, frustration, and even failure. Non-action teaches us to listen to ourselves and to the situation at hand. It asks us to step away when we need to take a pause and regain our energy, and to reassess whether our efforts are aligned with our true goals. This isn't about being lazy, it's about being strategic and wise with our energy. By not forcing things, we allow ourselves to be more focused and intentional when we do act, rather than scattering our energy in 1,000 directions. Furthermore, non-action helps us cultivate the ability to detach. We often become so attached to outcomes, to ideas, and to expectations that we end up limiting ourselves. The more we force our desires to materialize, the more we inadvertently push them away. By practicing non-action, we create space for detachment, allowing us to release the need for specific outcomes. We stop obsessing over how things should be and begin to trust that life will bring what we need at the right time, even if it doesn't look exactly as we imagined. There is also a sense of flow that comes with non-action. When we stop forcing, we become more in tune with the natural rhythm of life. Think about how a river flows. It doesn't fight against the rocks or the current. It moves effortlessly around them. In the same way, when we stop struggling, we find ourselves flowing with the world around us. This flow brings a sense of ease and grace that allows us to navigate life's challenges without resistance. We begin to understand that life is not a race and that we don't have to constantly be striving. By stepping into the natural flow, we find that we are carried to where we need to go without the strain of relentless effort. Finally, non-action helps us to be present. In a world filled with distractions and pressures, it's easy to get caught up in the noise. But when we practice non-action, we learn to be fully engaged with the present moment. We stop worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, and we immerse ourselves in what is happening right now. This presence gives us the clarity to make better decisions, to truly connect with others, and to experience life more deeply. It's in these moments of stillness that we often find our deepest insights and a true sense of peace. Non-action is not about doing nothing, but about doing less with more intention. It's about stepping back to see things more clearly, allowing life to unfold without unnecessary interference. In embracing non-action, we find that everything we need, whether it's insight, connection, or opportunities, will come to us naturally. Clarity and intuition are often intertwined, yet many of us struggle to access them in our everyday lives. We live in a world where we are constantly overwhelmed with information, distractions, and the noise of external expectations. In such an environment, it's easy to lose touch with our inner wisdom, the quiet voice that speaks to us when we slow down and listen. This is where silence and stillness become powerful tools in reconnecting with clarity and intuition. When we create space for quiet, we allow ourselves to hear the subtle nudges that guide us toward the right decisions, helping us to navigate life with a sense of purpose and direction. In the midst of our busy lives, we often find ourselves caught in the noise of our own thoughts. Overthinking, stress, and worry cloud our minds, making it difficult to see clearly. We may have a sense of what we need to do or what we want, but the path forward is obscured by doubts and fears. This is where intuition, that deep knowing that transcends logic and reason, comes in. Intuition often speaks to us in quiet whispers, but those whispers are easily drowned out by the noise we create in our minds. By embracing silence, we allow ourselves the space to hear these subtle messages and gain the clarity we need to move forward. Clarity is not something that can be forced or manufactured. It comes when we step back from the constant pressure of making decisions, from the need to act immediately, and from the anxiety that often comes with uncertainty. When we stop trying to control every situation and allow life to unfold in its own time, we create the space for clarity to emerge. It's in those moments of stillness that the fog begins to lift, and we can see things more clearly: our goals, our desires, and our true path forward. Clarity comes when we stop forcing answers and instead allow them to arise naturally. Intuition works in a similar way. It doesn't come from the mind's logical processes, but from a deeper, more instinctive place. Our intuition is shaped by our experiences, our inner wisdom, and our connection to the world around us. When we are constantly busy and distracted, it becomes difficult to hear this inner voice. But when we embrace silence, when we create space for stillness, we allow our intuition to come forward. This is where the magic happens. Our intuition isn't something we control or predict, but when we are in tune with it, we find that it often leads us exactly where we need to go. Silence and stillness provide the conditions for clarity and intuition to thrive. When we give ourselves permission to pause, to step back from the noise, we open ourselves up to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. It's as if the clutter of everyday life falls away, and we are left with a pure sense of direction. The answers we seek don't always come immediately, but when we are patient and open, they reveal themselves to us in their own time. In those quiet moments, we also begin to trust our inner voice more. The more we listen to our intuition, the stronger it becomes. It's easy to dismiss our intuitive feelings when we're caught up in the rush of everyday life, but when we give ourselves the space to listen, we begin to trust that quiet knowing. This trust is incredibly empowering. It allows us to make decisions with confidence, knowing that we are not only relying on our intellect, but also on a deeper source of wisdom. One of the challenges many of us face is the fear of making the wrong decision. We worry about the consequences, the potential mistakes, and the uncertainty that comes with every choice. But when we listen to our intuition, we often find that the right path is clearer than we expected. Our intuition doesn't promise a smooth journey, but it does guide us toward the right direction, even when the road ahead isn't entirely clear. By trusting this inner guidance, we can move forward with a sense of assurance, knowing that we are aligned with our true purpose. There is also a sense of peace that comes with clarity and intuition. When we are uncertain or unclear, it's easy to feel anxious or lost. But when we gain clarity, we are able to move forward with purpose. Our decisions become easier, and we feel more in control of our lives, not because we are forcing outcomes, but because we are trusting in the natural flow of things. Intuition brings a sense of confidence that we are on the right path, even if that path isn't always obvious. In embracing silence and stillness, we allow ourselves the opportunity to reconnect with clarity and intuition. These two forces help guide us toward the right decisions, the right actions, and the right outcomes. They are not things we can control or force, but when we create the space for them, they come to us naturally. It is in the quiet moments, when we listen deeply, that we find the answers we need and the strength to move forward with confidence. By trusting our intuition and allowing clarity to unfold, we step into a flow that leads us to where we need to go, effortlessly and with a deep sense of peace. Letting go of the need for immediate results is a transformative practice that can deeply affect how we experience life. We live in a society that places a premium on instant gratification. Everything from food delivery to quick solutions for complex problems seems to be available with just a few clicks. The expectation that things should happen right now has conditioned us to rush through life, to want immediate outcomes from our efforts, and to feel dissatisfied if progress doesn't appear quickly. But when we release the need for instant results, we open ourselves to the natural unfolding of life, allowing things to evolve at their own pace, without the pressure of trying to make them happen faster. The need for instant results often stems from a deep-seated anxiety about time, about running out of it, wasting it, or feeling as if we are falling behind. We live in an age where speed is equated with productivity, and we measure success based on how quickly we can achieve our goals. However, this rush to get things done, to see immediate returns on our investments of time and energy, often leads to frustration, burnout, and even a sense of emptiness. The truth is, many of the most meaningful and fulfilling aspects of life take time to develop. Real change, whether it's personal growth, the development of a relationship, or the achievement of a long-term goal, requires patience and trust in the process. When we let go of the need for immediate results, we start to recognize that growth isn't always linear. Progress often happens in small, incremental steps, and those steps may not always be visible right away. It's like planting a seed. We don't see the roots growing beneath the soil, but we trust that they are developing. Over time, with patience and care, that seed will eventually sprout and grow into something beautiful. But if we demand to see results too quickly, we may dig up the seed, impatient to see progress, and disrupt the natural process. Similarly, in our own lives, when we push for immediate results, we risk losing sight of the organic nature of growth. The process of letting go is also about learning to enjoy the journey itself. We often become so focused on the destination that we forget to appreciate the steps along the way. Life isn't just about the end result. It's about the experiences, lessons, and personal growth that happen throughout the journey. When we are overly concerned with achieving quick results, we miss the richness of the present moment. By letting go of the need for instant gratification, we allow ourselves to experience life more fully. We can take our time, savoring the process rather than rushing to the finish line. In this process of release, we also begin to cultivate trust. Trust in ourselves, in the timing of life, and in the process of change. Trust is a vital component of letting go of the need for immediate results. It's a recognition that we don't always have control over the timing of events, but that we can trust that things will unfold as they are meant to. Trusting the process means understanding that we don't need to force things to happen or manipulate outcomes. When we allow things to unfold naturally, we step into a space of calm and clarity, free from the pressure of urgency. This also leads to greater resilience. When we stop expecting instant results, we become more capable of handling setbacks and challenges with grace. Instead of being discouraged by delays or obstacles, we see them as part of the process. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth and learning rather than a sign of failure. Letting go of the need for immediate results allows us to build emotional strength because we no longer rely on fast outcomes to measure our worth or success. We begin to recognize that the journey itself is valuable, regardless of how quickly we reach our goals. Another aspect of letting go is the ability to be more present. When we are not constantly focused on the outcome, we can truly engage with what's happening right now. We give ourselves permission to be in the moment, free from the anxiety of what's next. This presence allows us to make decisions that are aligned with our values and true desires, rather than simply acting out of a sense of urgency. When we're not rushing to see results, we can actually see more clearly, and our choices become more intentional. Letting go of the need for immediate results also frees us from comparison. In a world where everyone seems to be achieving things quickly, it's easy to feel like we are falling behind. We measure ourselves against the timelines of others, and this only intensifies the pressure to move faster. But when we let go of the need for instant results, we release the need to compare ourselves to anyone else. We learn to trust that our journey is unique and that we are progressing at our own pace, no matter how long it takes. The real beauty of letting go of the need for immediate results lies in the freedom it brings. We no longer live with the constant stress of trying to force things to happen according to a rigid timeline. Instead, we allow life to unfold in its own time with grace and ease. This creates space for things to come to us naturally without the frantic energy of chasing after them. When we let go of the pressure to see quick results, we make room for deeper, more meaningful outcomes that arrive when the time is right. By embracing this practice, we find that life moves with us rather than against us. We stop fighting the natural rhythms of the world and begin to trust in the timing of our own path. When we let go of the need for immediate results, we make space for things to happen when they're meant to, allowing everything to unfold beautifully and effortlessly.